Primal85 on your left. And I can barely believe this match is actually happening right now. There we go. It looks like just a moment between the two on the restream. That'll all work itself out over the course of this big race. 46 Robot Masters coming at you right now. Both starting with Cutman, no surprise here. They are going to be going for that early Magnet Beam. And we will see what's what as they make their way through Cutman and then onto Electman stage, where, of course, you have that ever-present potential for a soft lock. But I gotta say, well, I don't have to say, because I know the commentator curses are real. But you all know what I was thinking. I won't say it, though. Oh, we got Mega Man 6 up here still, so let's go fix that.
Okay, the commentator's curse is only as real as the chat curse is.
There's no such thing as a commentator's curse. Who would ever say such a thing? Alright, so you see Primal making his way past these Susie's Becco as well, taking that damage, using his select to deal with the knockback, reduce it, and keep on going. Make sure that knockback isn't causing too many problems, and up and over. Past these Susies, and on their way up. A little vertical section of the stage. You want to try to, obviously mitigate your time on ladders. Ladder climbing is very slow in Mega Man's 1 and 2, so that to the extent that you can get jumps going to save time, and also use that select button to avoid any extra knockback. It's very beneficial. You see Primal choosing to get the health there. You don't see that too often, but his health had gotten a little bit lower than he would have liked with those Susies, and gets that for safety. He doesn't have to worry about this eyeball now, and he's just about to the boss quarter. Becco just a moment ahead of him.
Yeah, it looks like they're almost in sync, though, too.
Just about. And it's to the boss room first for Becco Red. He'll be encountering Cutman. Cutman, a very easy fight as long as you know how to handle him. Gets the early hit there. And now it's just a matter of not letting him get going here. Just keep those shots coming in, keep him stun-locked, and down he goes. For both of our racers, it's no surprise we are in lockstep in the early goings here. And now it'll be on to Electman stage, where we will see, among other things, the early Magnet Beam attempt. And that's, of course, a niche trick where you get a very, very useful tool in the Magnet Beam, but you have to do a pretty interesting setup for that, so that you can lose a little bit of time there if you're not precise. It does require frame perfect input, but when you have two racers like this going after it, you expect some really impressive things, so we'll see what happens. And of course, again, very vertical stage here in Electman stage, so we're going to see a lot of ladder climbing, particularly in the early goings. They're just trying to kill these satellites as quickly as possible, trying to avoid getting shot on any level. As Becco makes it to the Yoku blocks first. Now he's going to go for this corner jump. Can lose 12 seconds, but he does not miss it, does not fall down, and he is away. Primal, second try for the corner jump, no problem there either.
Yeah, the real difficult part about these vertical sections here is you get the spinies on the floor that go back and forth and block you, and then the satellite watchers coming down, and obviously, you're in an obvious disadvantage when they're coming at you shooting their, lightning. You have a, spot where you can sit and stay, but if you're outside that spot and you want to keep moving, you're obviously going to get shot, so it's like you have to balance out, okay, so I time my shot to get this one so I can keep going, then I time the shot on this one so I can keep going, and here comes the fun part, here we go.
Oh, and hey, speaking of timing, they both timed it perfectly. Got that one frame button press while shooting to grab that ladder early, get into the spot, get out with the Magnet Beam, no soft locks, and we are up and away. That's what you love to see. As long as you can avoid that soft lock, you're feeling pretty good. And they got it. They got that Magnet Beam quickly, too. They didn't even waste any time.
Definitely, but it definitely looks like Becco is pulling away pretty hard here so far. They've been neck and neck, but thanks to the fact that Becco is moving just a touch bit faster than Primal, he's getting up to where he wants to get sooner, so he's definitely going to pull away towards the boss fight towards Electman. Here's hoping things go well.
as we come to the climb here up this boss corridor. An annoying little boss corridor that you can make less annoying by placing those magnet beams just so that you can jump past these beams. You see Becco placing that first one, but not quite having the timing to jump up through the beams. We'll see how it goes for Primal. Place the first one, second and third. He is up through the first screen. Becco placing the few on the second screen, making that a little faster. Primal having a bit better go of this climb here, as he really narrows the gap. You see Becco getting that quick kill on Elecman, no problem, staring him right in the face and say, "You want a piece of me?" Nothing doing. Elecman goes down hard for both racers, and we are still in lockstep through 2 stages. It'll be interesting to see at what point these two really start to separate from one another. But right now, it is neck and neck, as you'd expect in the early goings. On to Iceman, where we're really going to start to see those zips come into play with the use of that magnet beam. Our racers here are killing these enemies and wanting to collect the item they drop. If they leave that item on screen when the next enemy spawns, it creates tremendous lag. And lag mitigation is very important in this game. So we see now Becco and Primal setting up their magnet beams to cross over this water. You want to stay up on the magnet beam. Not only do you move a little faster across the magnet beam anyway, but walking in the water is pretty slow in this game, so they're avoiding that. And there we see Becco setting up the first zip, getting it, getting the wrap, and... ooh, it almost looked like he got Subpixel, but was able to get up and down. Now going over the open pit. Primal, meanwhile, getting his zip and his wrap. And almost getting the Subpixel as well, so these two... not only in close proximity to one another, but kind of having the same results. Becco not going for the zip on the far end of this screen. We'll see if Primal gives it a shot. It looks like he's not going to, and no, indeed, he just falls down. Not wanting to waste any time on that attempt there. Becco already onto the Elect Beam. We're not going to see any quarter zips out of him. Primal trying to go up and over the Stomper here. Not quite having the results he wanted to, but he has a couple Magnet Beams here. But chooses to just go to the Elect Beam, not waste any time. Oh, and Becco misses a shot on Iceman, so he has to shoot another Elect Beam, but no problem. Down goes Iceman as Primal is just engaging him. And there we see that select glitch put to good use. Iceman going down very quickly for Primal. We see just a little bit of time opening up on that stage, but only a little bit. Obviously very early on. Very much anyone's race still.
Oh yeah, we still have all the zips coming in here in Fireman stage and Bombman stage that, you know, they're not going to say too much on it, but some runs have been decided from this point onward. So we're going to see how well they can manage their zips, how well they can manage their jumps, and see if, you know, they can make things happen in their favor. As we can see, Primal having a little trouble setting up the first zip here. He's getting shot by the screw breaker, so he's trying to set it up, but
looks like he's
looking like he's getting it.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to go to the ladder back up now. You can kind of make that a much easier zip by using that visual cue of the ladder. A lot of runners who are familiar with it won't go for it because it takes a little bit longer to go get that ladder, but you saw that his timing just wasn't there, and as you make that first mistake, you start to encounter lag from the sprinklers, so, you know, that can start weighing on you as you try more and more attempts, and you don't want to run out of magnet too early. But he gets through, and now Becco's setting up for this fire zip here. He's going to be placing these beams, jumping up, grabbing a ladder on the next screen, inside the lava. Pulling the switch right at the moment there where he needs to get past all the enemies, no problem. Up and through the zip. That can be a dangerous zip because if you die there, you go back a fair way on the stage, so you really don't want to lose that time, of course. Primal has just enough Magnet Beam here to affect this zip. See if he gets it. Oh, no problem. There he goes. Selects up, and he is fine. Damageless zips for both of our racers. Very nicely done. As Becco begins the Iceman fight, 7 hits there. He's just going to use his pause buffer on the Ice Beam, the weakness of the Fireman. Gets the orb, and he is over and out. As Primal is making his way into the fight himself. You know, for that minor little hiccup that Primal had with his use of Magnet Beam to start this one, really not an issue. He's you know, as you, no surprise. We're going to keep saying it for a while, I suspect, but right in line with one another still.
The interesting thing to note is, again, that every player that's in this part of the tournament had to submit a sum of best segments for every single section. Did you know that Becco and Primals is the same time? They both have a 12 minutes and 47 seconds.
Which is a really good time for those who may not be as familiar with it. We should point out, too, that Becco is a Mega Man 4 and 5 player primarily. He had not had a time for 46 Robot Masters until he joined this race. So it's really been impressive to see what he's done. He's already put up a sub 150 time in this tournament. So just an excellent job. And of course, Primal, he was one of the people that goes back kind of a very long time with this category, being one of the early people to submit a run. So it's interesting to see some of the strategies he employs that are perhaps a little outdated, but they've served him with great effect so far. And speaking of strategies here, we see Becco going for that ladder grab for the zip setup here. Gets it no problem. One of the easier zips in the game, but you can get trolled by shooting your magnet beam a little bit further than you'd like to. And we see Primal trying to make sure that doesn't happen there for him. Placing 3 magnet beams. And he gets the setup, shoots his beam to the left, double select, crashes the gate, and he's down there. As Becco puts out Bomb Man.
The other big thing to note about is with that zip, this is the most dangerous zip in Mega Man 1, because if you do not turn around to the right just before you hit the gate, you send yourself back. And by back, I mean you give yourself a little bit of a minor setback by giving yourself a down. So, not something you want to do, especially if you have a decent lead.
It's very interesting that gate crashing in Mega Man 2 is a pretty scary proposition. In Mega Man 1, the timing is such that it's really not so scary as if you really get a pretty comfortable sense for it very early on. And it feels like there's almost like a little hitch, like, okay, now's the time where you don't want to keep going. Go ahead and hit the button now, and then everything's cool. We see, here we go, some more magnet beam usage here. Primal is just going up and over. He's not going to use any of the green platforms. Oh, there you go. He takes the fall there and lands right on it. Very scary to watch, but he makes it happen. No problem. We'll see if Primal chooses to set up for the zip here. Looks like he's going to go away from it. Not even bother with it. And it looks like we have some corridor zip attempts from Becco. Oh, just about a pixel too low on that first magnet beam. And again, maybe 1 or 2 pixels too low there for the second. D-boost off of the Met. Switches over to Bomb. We are just about done here with Mega Man. It'll be on to Mega Man 2 in short order. And down goes Guts Man. And we are on our way to Mega Man 2 in this epic showdown between Primal and Becco. And it is time for, in fact, Rockman 2. So we are going to see some time saved on those cutscenes between Flashman, Heatman, and Airman. But, of course, the fights will take just a little bit longer. They take double damage in Rockman 2. But that is the trade-off you make, and if you can get those boss fights down really well, then it serves you well to not have to worry about the 42.66 seconds of extra time just sitting around waiting for these cutscenes to tell you how much you got the item 1s, 2, and 3. So, I actually didn't see if Primal is on Mega Man 2 or Rockman 2.
He's using Mega Man 2.
Very good. So there you go. We're gonna see head-to-head how it goes for these two racers between Rockman 2 and Mega Man 2. Of course, Mega Man 2, you have the longer cutscenes, but the boss fights are quite a bit easier, only taking half the damage of the bosses in Rockman 2. So it's really a matter of where you feel you can save more time. If your boss fights aren't quite where you want them to be, then this is a smart way to go. So we'll see how this goes. Becco making his way through. Very easy stage, Flashman. There's no spikes, there's no pits. You just have to get past a bunch of stompers. And it's not proving to be difficult at all for our racers. Oh, and Becco getting the one cycle on Flashman, as you'd expect. My goodness, that is such a tough timing fight there, and so expertly executed by Becco. Primal with the 7-hit kill, no problem for him as well. And now we're going to see Becco pull away a little bit, at least for a moment, as this cutscene is so much shorter for Becco. Dr. Light, of course, a very talkative fella. Apparently takes a while to get some words out in the English version.
He just wants to let you know he cares.
It's like, yes, yes, item 3, fantastic. I got some Robot Masters to do. Oh, I can just take it, and then I could go. No, oh, you have more to say. Okay, great. Becco now on to Heatman. So we are about to see our first zip in Mega Man 2, but also this tells us we're going to see some fast air coming up. And at this point in the tournament, you're going to see that a lot more than you might have seen in the pool play. But just as I say that, Primal, not worrying about any potential disasters here. He is going to go right up and over, not worry about having to deal with knockback or anything like that. He's going to go for the slower air, but the safer air. And that's one of the things we've seen throughout this tournament. We've always said, you know, one of the keys to success in this entire tournament is mitigating disasters. And this is a spot that you see Primal just riding the clouds. Looks a little slower, and it is, but it's so much safer. And if you can avoid getting knocked down there, avoid that death, then you just save a ton of time over if you were to make a mistake there. So discretion, very much the better part of valor a lot of times in this race. We see Becco, you know, he's just going over Yoku blocks over an open pit. A matter of knowing where those blocks are, maybe not as difficult as it might seem on its surface. You memorize it and you're good to go, and he has no problem there. As he comes up to the Heatman fight, 14 hits on this Heatman fight to put him out. And it can be a little dangerous. Any contact damage from Heatman, and you're really not loving life. He only has 2 hits he can, or he can take 1 hit here. The second hit will kill him. So we'll see what happens. Primal getting that Mega Man 5 reference here in Mega Man 2. So if he were to lose a life here, he does not have to worry about right now going and getting that life in Quick Man coming up later. That's one you oftentimes see players get. But getting that that lucky life drop here will save him time over having to do that. Meanwhile, Becco having no problem whatsoever with Heatman. He is doing his buffer jumps expertly, and there he goes. Heatman is out. And Primal now onto Airman, looking for a pattern here. And he's kind of getting one, gets that 2 cycle. And no problem for Primal. Both bosses going down, almost in sync.
Almost indeed, but you can definitely see the difference between the 2 gains there, right there, and then with Becco having to take longer to take down Heatman, because he was only doing 2 grains of rice per hit, so it took him longer than Primal to get it done, but he's getting through this next cutscene with Dr. Light a lot quicker, because the Japanese text just goes...
Yeah, the Japanese text is it's snappy. The American text, not so much. And now we will see fast air attempt from Becco. It's always an exciting thing to attempt. You know, you have that moment where you know that you're not going to fall off anymore, and you can kind of relax a little bit. But we'll see how Becco handles this one. Primal's going to go off to Heatman. Now having the aid of item 2, he's going to be able to go over the Yoku block section using that, not having to worry about making any jumps. Becco getting his knockback. It's really this Lightning Lord that tells the tale. He gets past him. Makes his way on. Taking a few hits here. You want to try to avoid some damage. He gets that corner jump off the last Lightning Lord. Doesn't quite get the bird spawn from the eggs that he wanted. So it looks like he's trying to get an egg to spawn behind him. Doesn't quite get it. Taking some extra damage here. And now that Airman fight is going to be very interesting. His health is a little lower than he'd like. He can take, I believe, 2 hits right now. So he could still be okay, but he's going to be coming down to it, depending on the pattern that he gets. Of course, having to get 14 hits on Airman is a little bit of a taller order with than getting 7, of course, but with his health being what it is. He turns the bird around still, though, so he's not even going to worry about it. In Rockman 2, you have less of a chance to get health drops than you do in Mega Man 2. So he figures he'd lean into that, save himself a little bit of time. But he's shooting a couple of the baby birds as they come out, trying to get a little bit of health, but he does not get it, and he's just going to have to make a run for it here and hope for the best. Fortunately, of course, if you die, it's a boss fight, so you start right in front of the room. Not too bad a death as these things go. Yeah, see, there you go. He got the one, he took the one hit, and then the second hit got him. He will start right back at the boss corridor.
This is definitely Primal's chance here if he can get Heatman down quick enough to pull ahead, get through the cutscene to get to the next round.
Yeah, you know, Heatman can delay for half a second, a full second, or a second and a half. And look, the Primal got it done just before Becco was able to come back and blow Airman away. And, you know, again, doesn't seem to matter how things break. These two are staying pretty darn close to one another.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw there, yeah, Becco thought he could take 2 hits, but did not quite have enough health, but no problem there. The interesting thing is, though, that Becco is now down an extra life. Primal got an extra life, Becco is down a life, so he is going to have to get the extra life in Quickman stage to make sure that he can pull off Goodwood later, because that you take 2 deaths in the course of doing your zips in the speedrun through the 8 Robot Masters and Mega Man 2. He's going to take 1 right here to set up Clashman, or to start Clashman stage, and then there will be another that he will want to get an extra life for, but we'll get to that in due course. As both racers are going to go for the second screen zip, a little bit easier setup, a little bit more reliable. Becco, no problem there. Primal, no problem as well. And now our racers are traveling through screens further ahead than what they appear. And then you see Becco switching to his Atomic Fire as well as Primal. By letting go of that when you're in the... not death transition, but after you die. Oh, goodness. You can cancel the sound that happens when you die in Mega Man 2, and you immediately respawn. And because they have actually hit the checkpoint, they warp ahead. It's a pretty cool trick. As we see Becco begin the Clash Crime, and Primal begin the Crash Climb. Difference being Mega Man 2 features Clashman, and Rockman 2 features Clashman, and Mega Man 2 features Crashman. Becco, very nice climb out of him. Primal doing a little bit of an alternate climb here, using a few less item 3s, but it's really about just placing the item 3s that you know you're comfortable with to save any time. We said before, climbing very slow in Mega Man 1 and 2, so anything you can do to affect it and speed it up a little bit is going to be beneficial. We see that from both racers. Becco now is going to hope for a 2-shot, 3-hit kill, but he needs 3 shots to get that one done. Clashman jumping around a little bit more than he would have liked. And now we'll see if we can get a 1-shot kill, and we do for Primal. 1 shot, 2 hits, got that high jump from Crashman, and we continue to be in lockstep between these 2 racers. And there you see Becco getting that extra life at the start of the stage. And now he, as long as nothing else happens, he is going to be fine to go for Goodwood later on. Primal, by virtue of both not dying yet and getting that extra life in Airman stage, is going to be able to go without getting that extra life at the start of Quickman. Becco setting up for this zip, and we'll see how he handles this. Looks like, yes, he's going to turn the lights back on. So we'll see if he goes for that gate crash a little later. And there comes the time stopper. Primal not even bothering with the zip here. He's just going to go through zipless. Not have any problem.
Yeah, this section of Quickman's already scary enough on its own. The zip does add a level of difficulty, but, you know, if you can get it done and you know what you're doing, it's rather harmless.
Yeah, it's funny. I've seen a lot of people say, "Oh my goodness, he's doing this section in the dark." You know, when you don't turn the lights back on. And there we go. Hold on, real quick. Becco is Getting up into the ceiling, going for that zip, no problem there, gets his wiggles, and he is through the gate. Very scary zip in the sense that you can soft lock the game there. If our racers were to do that, they'd be passwording back in to Quick Command stage, but they'd be losing almost 2 minutes of time to do so. So, nicely done for Becco to avoid that. Needs to get 7 hits from the crash bombs on Quick Command. Does so, getting that explosion damage. And Becco is done with Quick Command as Primal begins the fight. Only 4 hits needed, and you see how much quicker he goes down for Primal. So even without the zips, Primal kind of keeping in real close proximity still to Becco, by virtue of not having to get that extra life and not having to get 7 hits. So we're off to Metal Man here, unless we see a minor route divergence. At this point, you can kind of do the bosses in any order. You want to do Bubble Man last for 2 reasons. 1, you want to make sure you have metal, and 2, after Bubble Man, we see Becco going for an insta-trigger there, and doing it a little too instantly. So he's going to have to get back up in the ceiling and try that zip again. He does so, no problem. And now Primal is up and away in the zip. And no problem for him as well. Becco not worrying about the extra zip and this bottom corridor here. He's just going to go past these... I never know what to call them. These cog men. These fellas who jump on the cogs here and try to ruin your day, but you item 2 past them for the most part.
Their actual name is called Pierrobot.
Pierrobot. Let's go with that, since that's their name. We see Primal getting knocked down there. He didn't. It looked like maybe he didn't jump at the right time and got the Pierrobot got the better of him there. But he makes the most of it, and he's trying to make up for lost time now. Becco not wasting any time on Metal Man. You can get 5 hits in on Metal Man while playing Rocket Man 2 before he will move, as long as you hold down the B button. Primal, on the other hand, only needs to get 4 hits. So you see, Metal Man does not move at all for him. It's a neat little trick where you just hold down the B button while you have Quick Boomerang equipped, and unless you get too close, Metal Man will not move.
So it looks like the way both these players are currently matched, both Primal and Becco, it's going to come down to 2 major zips. It's going to come down to the Bubble Zip, and definitely most famous coming up is going to be Goodwood, to see if either one can get a chance to pull ahead going into 3.
That's right, everybody's favorite zip coming up. Becco's going to have the first crack at it. That Goodwood zip, man. Where a lot of craziness happens. You see Becco going to go with the flash here, not worrying about wiggling over those dogs. Can be a little scary there. Can cause you to death, and he doesn't have extra to spare. Getting that little zip you just saw him get, it really tells the tale about how quickly you can get through the dogs. If you don't get that zip, you have to kill the 3rd dog. He gets it, no problem. You see Primal now switching to Flash as well. And I have yet to figure out a good way to explain what's going on in Goodwood in real time during one of these races. Oh, and it looks like Primal did not quite get that zip, so he had to kill that final dog. But no problem there. Essentially what's happening here is, again, we're seeing these racers be significantly further ahead of the stage than it looks like they are. You know, you see them kind of meandering back and forth between 3 screens. And then finally there, Becco zipping, falling, canceling the death animation and waiting period, and going right into the boss corridor. And again, it's just about triggering a checkpoint that's significantly further in the stage than it appears, but by virtue of not having to deal with all the enemies and being able to zip through some of these screens, you're going to save time over the normal traversal. As Becco puts down Woodman, and Primal also getting his good wood on, and going into Woodman. You saw Becco use Air Shooter there, a little bit faster in Rockman 2 because you need 7 hits, but you can shoot through that shield. When using the Atomic Fire, it takes 2 hits on Rockman 2. So you see, whereas Primal can use the Atomic Fire 1 shot, 1 kill on Woodman. That's the difference coming to bear once again between these 2 versions. But Woodman down for both is Becco, riding his item 2 over this first screen in rip bitrate. He's going to make his way down, switching to item 1. He'll be ready to get his zip on as well. Ooh, doesn't get the impossible jump over the Hermit Crab. Places the item 1 a little too high. And now I think it might be over to the right too much. Oh, and Becco having some minor difficulties right now. But no problem there. He gets up on the ceiling. Oh, it looks like he pressed left a little too soon or too late. But you want to press A left if you do the zip that way. You can also B trigger. It looked like he was going for the A trigger there. Didn't quite have it. Had to bail out and try it again. And that's given Primal a little bit of an opportunity to get back in this one. Which, not that he's far out by any means, but you know, there was a little bit of a gap that he's able to close now. Switching to Metal Blade, and he'll make his way through the rest of the stage. Just about avoiding spikes at this point. You know, those ever-present spikes above your head. One errant jump, you know, get a little bit too heavy on that A button, and you could go up there. But they managed to avoid it, no problem. That's on to Bubble Man. 7 hits required for Becco, as compared to the 4 it'll be necessary for Primal. And there goes Bubble Man, getting popped and onto Mega Man 3, where we were sure to see a Top Man route first. Of course, I knew as soon as I said that it would be Magnet first. So Magnet first for Becco, just like we said.
You're right about one thing though, Primal is going top first though.
What? That's totally what I meant. What? You misunderstood me, chat. On to Mega Man 3 for both racers. So yes, as you say, Sacred Hooves, we got a Top Man versus Magnet Man first showdown here. The speedrunning progression of Mega Man 3 has been pretty interesting. For the longest time, it was Gemini first. And Facet CC came along and said, hey, I used to do Magnet first as a kid. Let me try to get world record with that. And sure enough, he did. And then it became clear that Top was even a little bit faster than that. So that is the preferred method for absolute speed. But Magnet first is a little bit easier route. So Becco not being as well-versed in Mega Man 3 as some other folks, you know, going with this route. Tried and true. Having to go over these Yoku blocks rather than using Jet, but no big deal there. Very easy Yoku blocks as compared to Mega Man 2 and certainly Mega Man 1, where you don't tend to see the Yoku blocks too much in this race, but if you do, yeah, I can tell you the racers aren't happy about it. Little climb in there on behalf of both racers, making their way up these stages. Becco just about to get into that Magnet Man stage. Health is a little bit lower than he may like, because you want to be able to tank some hits against Magnet Man in case he does his magnetic pattern. You want to break him out of that by taking damage. And he goes for it right there. Becco getting the hit there really early. And so now he cannot take another hit. He's just going to have to slide and wait, and it's a bit of an unfortunate turn of events. But RNG is what it is. It's Primal looking for that 3 cycle here. Taking damage, getting out of the way. Oh, and he's not going to quite get it. Gonna have to settle for the 4. Meanwhile, Becco putting down Magnet Man right in the center of the screen. Primal not too far off the center of the screen himself. You want to kill bosses in the center of the screen in this game to save travel time. The item get animation after you defeat a Robot Master in this game requires Mega Man to go to the center of the screen. And you can lose a second or two to watch that. It's kind of frustrating from a speedrunning perspective. Now it's on the Hard Man for Becco and Shadow Man for Primal. And we'll see how scary Primal wants to make this. I suspect he's going to be a little bit more prudent than you might see in an any % attempt. We see that a lot throughout this run, where racers are erring on the side of caution when it comes to speedy strats that can be a little scary. Towards the end of this stage for Shadow Man, you can use some top spin to get past the paratroopers, but can be a little dangerous. We'll see what happens there as Becco is making a run for it past these gorilla robots. And Becco killing some enemies in the dark here. Pretty standard so far for both of these stages. I do mean Primal. I do mean Primal. These early morning races are getting the better of me, Sacred Hooves.
If I could, I'd email you a big cup of tea that I just had, man.
That sounds fantastic. There was no time for coffee this morning. It was up and at 'em. And yeah, we see Primal not even bothering with the topspin here. A wise decision to make sure that nothing goes sideways here. Oh, he slides under the one paratrooper. No problem there. In Mega Man 2, you have to be sliding for at least, or Mega Man 2, Mega Man 3, you have to be sliding for at least 8 frames before you can jump out of it. So, for those platforms, and particularly for single tile platforms, you have to have very good time in order to jump out of them without having any concern. Primal looked like he might have tapped there for a second. His topspin goes down very far, but has enough to put away Shadow Man. As Becco gets in here with his Magnet Beam, or Magnet Missile out, excuse me. This is no longer Mega Man 1, this is Magnet Missile, not Magnet Beam. And Hardman does not live up to his name, goes down pretty easily for Becco, as the Shadow Man for Primal.
And now we're going to see possibly one of the more interesting things come out of Primal. Not a lot of players opting to do this, but, this is done with caution and with, the love of the Shadow Blade. But he's going to Gemini Man next.
Yes, that's right. The Shadow being the soft weakness for Gemini Man. You really don't ever see anyone use a snake on Shadow Man in these races, which is his normal weakness. So now, without the aid of Magnet Missile, but with the aid of Shadow Blade, he's going to go through here and kind of use a primarily Buster strat to get through here. And then we'll see what happens as he goes on. Becco, meanwhile, making his way through top man stage. He does have Magnet Missile, so he's going to be able to put down these big cat mini-bosses a lot easier than Primal was able to with Buster only. Takes 5 hits from Magnet Missile versus 10 hits from Buster. Primal getting the music despawn. That's going to save him a little bit of time on lag throughout the rest of this stage. He switches over to his Rush Coil as he makes his way up past these tadpole legs. We see the first cat going down for Becco. No problem there.
You can definitely tell the difference between having the music and having no music, especially within the first section of Gemini Man stage. It's just ripped frames all over the place.
Yeah, it can really slow you down. And of course that last section where it's so crucial to have complete control over Mega Man. You have a lot of activity going on the screen, a lot of potential for getting knocked back by enemies, and a lot of single and double tile platforms that you have to navigate over. We see Primal doing so. Oof. And he's making it through, no problem now. He has the Shadow Blade using it to great effect. And we're not seeing the slides, but we are seeing him make his way over, and that's still going to save some time over dialing that 1-800 Armorine. So job well done out of Primal. As Becco read, yeah, 4 shots for top man, and he's over and out.
Can I just take a second to mention that he took a very, very scary risk jump on the tops there, but he managed to hit them all perfectly. It looked like at the last second he was not going to get that final touch, but he did make it, so whew.
Yeah, that's a scary looking jump for sure. But that's one you see a lot of times in the any percent attempts. It's funny what looks scary and then what it actually how it actually works out for these racers. That's really the great benefit of having the knowledge of these games, knowing what you can get away with and what you can't, and kind of scaring us folks who maybe are not as well versed in those techniques.
The good news is for Primal, though, he's gotten the laggiest and the longest stage in the game out of the way, so he's going to head to Needle Man next, and he might go to Snake Man next, which would probably be the best bet, so he can get the second laggiest stage out of the way, so that way he can just focus on cutting through Spark Man, Hard Man, and Nugget Man with no problem.
Yeah, it's, not only is it a scary stage, but, it has a pretty late checkpoint in Gemini Man stage as well. You have to get to the water screen in order to get your checkpoint, so you take a lot of damage up to that point, too, potentially, going through the penguin churns, so it can be a little dicey, but he made it through no problem, and now he's on to the shortest stage in the game, Needle Man stage. And he's using his Shadow Blade here. We don't see a lot of runners use Shadow Blade, even when they have it available. They typically just use the Gemini and Buster combo, but he's having some great success with the Shadow Blade here, so he's doing alright for himself. And meanwhile, we're going to see a little bit more Shadow Blade on Becco's side of the screen. Pulls out a top spin and makes quick work of Shadow Man.
The good thing to note about Shadow Blade is if you're good with it, it's a very versatile weapon. You can't aim at the same directions as, say, the Metal Blades in Mega Man 2, but at least with this one, you have semi-good energy, you can aim it in enough directions that it's powerful enough, and if you get enough shots on someone in your close range, you can rapid-fire it, so it is a good alternative weapon. Just don't always rely on it, because sometimes it can be a little bit finicky.
Primal giving a shout out to Noodlewa back there just a moment ago with the stage laser, but it all comes down. Oh, no problem for the Needleman fight though. He says, "Hey, that was the one Noodlewa laser you're gonna see in this run right now, because I got this fight on lock. No problem for Primal."
I gotta say, so far, they're matching each other, Robot Master for Robot Master. The only real difference is coming down to, who's going to the longest stage in the game next, and who's going to the second longest stage in the game.
Wait. Yeah, pretty much. That's true. And that's always the interesting thing when you see a route variance like that, is they go in differently, and we'll see how they come out on the other side relative to one another. But, I mean, so far, nothing really to speak about in terms of mistakes. I mean, both of these racers are operating at that high level that you'd expect from both Primal and Becco.
And the one thing to note out coming up here with Snake Man stages, this is something I've noticed a lot of people in the early brackets were doing. Some avoided it, but let's see if he goes for it. Yes, he does. A lot of the players lately go for the opting of going over the big giant snakes.
Oh, yes.
A lot quicker than, sitting there and trying to actually kill them.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they take... I don't even know how many hits they take, because I've flown over him for so long now. But yeah, you save a lot of time over jumping up and killing him. Or, if you were to use your rush jet to kill him for some reason, you'd just be running out of rush before you really need it at that last screen. So, yeah, it's a very useful technique to be able to do. And one of those things that would have been nice to know that as a kid playing that game, that I could just rush jet over him.
Definitely would have been nice to know myself prior to this, because, I run these games, once a season. I get about an hour, for every game I complete. It takes me an hour, but would have been nice to know that. Now I can save a little bit of time.
How much have you learned watching these games and providing commentary for them, Sacred Hoods? Because I imagine, you're seeing strats, from high-level players, from, players who are on the rise. You're probably seeing a lot of cool, different stuff, aren't you?
From watching, specifically, you, Concakes, these guys here, right here, as a casual player, this is an eye-opening experience, not only be able to call these things and learn more about them, but, it makes you sit there and go, huh, I've never thought about that.
Right.
And then you want to sit there and try things out yourself. For example, for coming up in the distance in Mega Man 6, I talked about this with Mythical, I talked about this with Richard, there's that split in Tomahawks Man stage. It is actually a second faster to go up to his normal door than it is to go to the secret door to go to get the beat part. I tested it myself. I did 5 runs each path, and there was a second difference to go up into his normal door because you're taking too much damage to get there.
So there you go, yeah, and that's one you'll see folks do all the time in here. So that's cool. I'm glad that you could pick something up from this that. Because it's very easy to just assume, when it's a speedrun tournament, oh, everyone knows all this stuff. We're pretty late in, so everyone's heard all the commentary now. Everyone knows what's going on in all these stages. But you got to remember that some folks are coming in this with a very nostalgic mindset and maybe not as much speedrunning knowledge of this stuff. So it's cool that they can get that level of enjoyment out of it as well. Learning along the way. Oh, we see Becco going for the D-boost there past the big stomper and gets his slide on real quick. Doesn't take that second hit. He's going into Needleman with good health. That's what you want to do on that screen. Can be a little tricky, but he gets it done, as you'd expect. Oh, and he says shout-outs to Noodlewa himself, but I think he's going to get him. Oh, it banks off. Oh, my goodness. You always love to see once that Noodlewa laser happens, when it comes back around to get Needleman. It's very satisfying. A little annoying having to wait for it, but it still feels pretty good.
Oh yeah, especially when you're sitting there, you see it bounce, it's like, by frames, and then you see it hit, it's like, thank you.
Right. And now we see Primal, he is not going to bother with this using Rush Jet here. He's going to go the faster way, a little bit more dangerous, but no problem for him going over that final screen in Sparkman stage. And it's on to Sparkman himself. Switches over to Shadow Blade, the weakness for Sparkman. It'll be 7 hits to freedom here.
So another thing I want to point out, because you mentioned, you know, sitting here watching this, commentating and learning more, like, you know, when I first came into, like, the, you know, speedrunning community, I started with Super Metroid. I knew enough about Super Metroid to get by. Like, I knew how to mock ball, I knew how to wall jump, cool. But then I learned all the tricks for shine sparking. You know, I'm starting to practice all these other things like CWJs, lava dives, lava sparks, suitless Meridia. Like, when you sit down and watch these, a whole new world opens up for you. So, these are just an amazing thing to come down and watch, because you just see things that you've never thought possible before.
Well, it's probably more a matter, not so much that you didn't think of it, but that it never presented itself that you could even contemplate it. Is it's funny, even as you get into speedrunning certain games, you can stay in that casual mindset for other games too, and not necessarily like, oh, duh, of course this makes sense in this game as soon as you see it. So that's cool. It's good to hear. And there you see Becco making use of that rush jet, going up and over these cloud platforms, as did Primal just a little while ago. As long as you jump at the top of your rush jet there, you're going to not run out of the energy for the rush jet as quickly. You're going to save a lot of time on that energy going out. So Primal switches to his rush jet, going over these Yoku blocks, and that's one of the nice time savings going through this route. Not having to worry about waiting for these blocks to spawn.
You can also save frames in the Snake Man section if you're jumping into the cloud, because it takes Mega Man off screen. So you get all those torpedo clouds coming by, but you also have Rush Jet on screen. So by jumping up, you're not only saving energy, but you're saving yourself frames, which is, again, the name of the game here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Frames.
Absolutely.
So and these guys are almost neck and neck. It's amazing.
We're down to our final Robot Master for Becco, and we still have Hardman left for Primal here. So he's just a little bit behind, yeah. But he's like you said, not too far apart. We'll see how this all comes out as we get into the second half of this, where Becco, Mega Man 5. What can you say about Becco playing Mega Man 5? That's a joy anytime. And of course, an excellent Mega Man 4 runner as well. But, world record holder of Mega Man 5. Primal, an excellent Mega Man 5 runner as well. And don't be worried, he knows his way around 4 and 6 as well. So, a lot of race to go still, even 3 games in.
So, Enemy, I got a question for you. Do you know anybody in this tournament that has Mega Man 6 as their strong suit? Yeah, absolutely.
Dark Teryx is great at Mega Man 6. Also, Papatot, world record holder of Mega Man 6.
Alright, because, I have yet to see a race where there's one single person who was that was their strong suit, and they could use that to their advantage, so I was just kind of curious.
Yeah, both of those two are Mega Man 6 guys. It's funny, I'm like, not a Mega Man 6 person on that level at all, but when I get to Mega Man 6 after 4 and 5, it's sort of, I know a little bit more about that game than 4 and 5, so it's a little bit of a calming game for me, which is nice to be able to close out. Teryx has talked a lot about, like, hey, I get to go to my best game last. That's great for me. I get to relax and know that, I'm going to get some time back. So that's a really cool, that's one of the other aspects that we don't talk about a lot, but when you hit your best game throughout the run, how that affects you psychologically. As we see Becco getting rid of Sparkman, going on to Brightman. And Mega Man 4 has begun. This is a stage that can be a little scary. We'll see what strats he employs here. I expect speedy strats.
Always, but interesting to note, as soon as Primal finishes off Hardman, in about sub 1 hour, both players have made it to Mega Man 4, which is amazing.
Not just race. Sub 1 hour, sub 50 minutes. Sub 50 is a tremendous time through the first 3 games. I mean, at this level, yeah, like, we would definitely expect sub 1 hour, you know, here in the bracket round. And of course, this is a round 2 bracket match, in fact. You know, so we're kind of jumping ahead a little bit. You're kind of getting a preview of next week's matches. But, you know, schedule-wise, it worked out to start today. And, boy, I like sub 50 for both racers. I mean, it doesn't get any better than this. And except it's going to get better than this as we progress in the bracket stage.
Oh, yes.
And it's a shame that one of these guys is going to be going home after this one, so to speak, because I mean, you see the level on which they're operating, and it's like, I mean, what else can you do? Oh, Primal getting Dikembe'd by that enemy there, getting knocked down, not getting the balloon. It's interesting to learn that if you go through these screens quickly enough, you don't lose any time versus getting the balloon. You can lose a little bit of time in your navigation through Ringman and Skullman stage by not having the balloon, but using Bright is very safe and a pretty quick strat itself. So we'll expect to see that from Primal as he is going for Pharaoh first here. And meanwhile, Becco engaging Brightman, and he's going to shoot him with nothing but... He's going to shoot him with 1 lemon and nothing but fully charged Buster from there on in. And that's going to allow him to avoid those segments of Brightman's health where he can stop time. And there you see right there, no time stops for Brightman. Becco turns out the lights. The party's over, but the party's just beginning, in fact, as he's on to Pharaoh Man. With Primal making his way through, getting ready to engage Pharaoh Man himself.
So yeah, to physically answer for most people in chat what's happening, I explained it as much as I could, you know, using words. But the biggest difference that came in for these 2 racers, they're both using Rockman at this point in the match. But originally, when we got the 2, they were both neck and neck. Becco used Rockman 2, which gave him the quicker text. So Primal had to sit there and go through the longer text screens. So they were pretty much neck and neck, but Becco started pulling slowly ahead every single stage. And he was the first one to get into 3. So this is how he's so far ahead, you know, so far ahead at the moment. Almost like a third of a stage.
Yeah, of
it's
course.
A nice slide, Becco. Good job.
That's right. Yeah, Becco does have the advantage here in Mega Man 4 and 5. So, you know, Primal is now in a position where he's probably going to have to pull out all the stops to keep pace. We're really getting to that exciting portion of the race to where things are going to start happening pretty quickly. Mega Man 4, really all of the Mega Man games have the slightly different mechanics to them. We added sliding in Mega Man 3, now we're adding Charge Buster. The slide's a little bit different in Mega Man 4. You don't have to wait those 8 frames to jump out of your slide. So it doesn't seem maybe on the surface like it's that big of a difference, but there's those subtleties to the mechanics of these games that the players have to get used to pretty quickly in that game transition in order to maximize their effectiveness across all the games. So we'll see how that goes for both of these racers.
Yeah, we'll
Primal getting the double hit there on the left side of your screen.
We'll definitely see if Mega Man 4's reputation starts to ring.
And what would you say that reputation is, Sacred Hose, watching this tournament so far?
There's specific key moments that, everyone thinks, hey, this racer's doing fine, they're ahead. And then they meet a specific stage. It's one of 2 stages that decides to say, hi, remember me?
Yeah, that's
it's
true.
Awesome.
That does happen every so often in this one. That's for sure.
Becco here, preferring to take a little bit too many risk. He does get the job done. Did not finish him off. Ooh, gets back to center anyway. But he was getting a little face tanky with Pharaoh Man there.
Yeah, I mean, Pharaoh is such an easy boss despite what you might see on some YouTube top 10 lists. Pharaoh Man's a very easy boss, and, Chelny has really proven that, like, staying really close to him is a very, very effective way to fight him. Took a couple extra hits there, but, he knew that he had enough health, so it really wasn't much of a concern for him. And Pharaoh Man went down pretty darn quickly for him. And now we're going to see those balloon strats. Primal will not be able to use these, but Becco, he's got the balloon, and he is going up, up, up and away. And we see the first usage of that balloon inside the wall. The platform is still viable for just a few moments when you place the balloon inside the wall. So he's able to jump off of it as if it was a viable platform. And no problem for him. And we see Primal using Pharaoh Shot. Pharaoh does the same amount of damage as Charged Buster. Or fully charged Pharaoh does the same amount of damage as fully charged Buster. So you can do that fight the same way as you can with Buster, but you charge Pharaoh Shot a little bit faster than Buster, so you save a little bit of time doing it that way.
Primal had a very close call there, too, during Brightman's fight. He literally only had, one shot he could have taken before it was over. So, good job getting pretty much a no-damage fight, essentially, in there.
And that can be scary, too, because once he starts shooting at you, or God forbid he were to stop time, which, of course, the whole point is to avoid that, but, it's... You're kind of living on the edge there. Becco having no problem with the platforms seating underneath of him. And Primal not even bothering with his flash stopper through this rainbow platform section. He's just gonna make the climb up with Buster. Interesting strategy there. He may have wanted to save the menu, but I have to figure that even if he went to that extra menu, he'd still save time over using the Buster strats. But we'll see what he does here.
Becco's gonna have to play really careful here. He's playing a little too dangerous as we go into this ringman fight.
Oh my goodness! No problem. No problem. What a beast! He did that fight perfectly. What else can you say? No health, no problem.
Yeah, that's one of the scarier fights.
It can be. So the interesting thing about Ringman is that he's not RNG. He reacts to what you do. He does the same thing every time. And as long as you jump the way you're supposed to and you shoot him when you're supposed to, you're cool. But here's the but. Contact damage is scary. And if you're a little off on your timing on the jumps, those rings are going to get you. But he knew exactly when to slide and exactly how to keep his Pharaoh charged. The Pharaoh Shot has an interesting property where if you hit an enemy with it on contact damage, as opposed to firing it, you get an extra shot at that level of charge. So we saw him charge it up very quickly, slide underneath of Ringman, so that allowed him to have a second uncounted fully charged shot from his Pharaoh Shot, instead of having to use double energy. So he was able to put down Ringman very quickly, and without using too much energy as well. And we see Primal now switching over to Buster. Didn't like how his Pharaoh was getting low. I don't know that if he ran out or not. I don't believe he did. No, he has a little bit left. He has just enough to do the fight. We're going to see him take this back damage boost here. As Becco Red is switching over to Ring, going through the Crusher section of Dustman stage. Oh, it just slides under both of the final two Crushers. Oh my goodness. My heart skipped a beat, Sacred Hooves. Very scary part.
Yeah, I've been withholding my comments, but the stages that Becco has already done, I'm trying to hold up for one more moment for Primal.
Oh,
ugh.
Yep. And there you go. There you talk
off.
about. Yeah, he went for it. He tried to execute the strats, but that health being a little low, no margin for error.
Yeah, the Ringman and the Dustman stages are really where, the heaviest RNG for, Mega Man 4 comes into play, because again, with the Dust Crusher section, we've seen some pretty interesting close calls. Hopefully we have a highlight reel of some of those close calls going up on the pages. And the Ringman stages, some people have had over 10 to 20 deaths just before getting through the stage. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see that too much going forward in this bracket portion of the tournament. But yeah, you can definitely see some people struggling with that part. It's on to Skullman now for Becco. Primal getting into Dustman stage. Dustman stage has a ton of lag. Chelny himself, world record holder of Mega Man 4, has said this is the toughest stage for the speedrun. So we'll see how this goes for Primal. Becco looks like gonna go for the zip here. Has his toe over just a little bit. Needs to take that hit and does. If you do not take that damage there, you will die when you get up in the ceiling there. But no problem for Becco. He is gonna go up, up, and away using these balloons. And this is such a fun stage to play when you use these balloon strats. Very satisfying stage as you use these balloons to navigate in new and exciting ways over casual strats. And
he's definitely making Mary Poppins jealous.
Yeah, wait, where's the rush umbrella at? Huh? That seems like an underutilized weapon throughout the series. But he's going to switch over now to Bright Stopper, and allows you to hit these enemies from behind. That first one, saving a little bit of time there, going through this screen, and he's going to get through without having to use a second flash, of course, as you'd expect. As long as you keep sliding in Mega Man 4, you can extend the life of your time stoppage. So you'll see that a lot. These players who stop time, they'll just get on their slide game and try to make that last as long as possible.
The good thing about it... Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was good.
Yeah, the good thing about the Bright Stopper in this game is if you have an enemy that has a invulnerability, if you can flash them before they come on screen, you can take away their invulnerability and just straight up annihilate them. Becco here gets a very decent Skullman fight, only got one barrier. We can see Primal here getting into Dustman's fight. Had one vacuum section, doing decently here so far, and gets it in before second vacuum section. Nice.
Yeah, Dustman pretty cooperative for Primal. Skullman is a manipulatable fight in the sense that if you are holding a D-pad direction when you go into that fight, he will always shoot, and if you're holding the fire button, the B button, when that fight starts, he will always jump, and you want him to shoot first, because if he shoots, he can shoot twice in a row, and that's going to give you the opportunity to get 2 or 3 hits in. And you only need 7 in that fight, so it's a pretty quick fight with Dust Crusher, if you can manipulate him properly. And anyone can do it, it's just a matter of knowing what to press when you get there. So no problem for Becco. Primal now jumping into Skullman stage, and we'll keep track of what he's doing, but Becco has, as you would expect in Mega Man 4, pulled ahead a little bit here. About a stage ahead, as he is in Dive Man. And he's going to be used, again, we see that Flash Stopper used to great effect throughout Mega Man 4. Very overpowered tool. Getting that E-Tank from Eddie. I suspect it will not come into play, but you never know what can happen in this tournament. So it's nice to have that one in your back pocket. As Primal choosing to not worry with his Bright Strats here, he's just going to make his way with Buster only. Second whale going down for Becco. Oh, is he gonna get the... Oh, he's gonna get the wire. No, just kidding. Of course he's not gonna get the wire. Don't be crazy. Wire gets no love. Nor should it. Not in 46 anyway. It should get no love. You're gonna have a talk.
I only got love once.
Well, we've seen a couple people go down there. A lot of times they'll bail out and just immediately kill themselves on the spikes. But I think I've only seen the one actual acquisition of the wire.
Yeah, I get to call that match, and someone was doing it just for fun and torment on the other person. I mean, hey, if you got the time, use it.
I guess. Oh, and we get the animation skit from Becco there. Has to jump at the right height he has to be at the correct vertical and horizontal position on the screen at the right time to make that happen. But you see, he gets an auto teleport out of the screen, out of the boss room as a result. Saves a little bit of time there. Meanwhile, Skullman going down for Primal. No problem there. We stay just over a stage apart. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for Primal here. He really needs Becco to make some type of mistake, especially coming into a Dive Drill Man stage here. There is a chance that mistakes can definitely be made. This is the unspoken stage of, should we call it hell? Yeah, well, we'll call it hell.
Well, I mean, yeah, the real problem isn't so much the stage, but, man, I have no love lost for Dive Man number 2, that's for sure. Drill Man is a real jerk, for sure. You want to stay close to him to kind of coax him into staying up and staying active on the ground rather than diving back down. But man, he can be a jerk and he can cost you so much time. I always say that Dive Man is a stage where you can't gain time, you can just lose it from that dumb fight.
Yeah, definitely between Dive and Drill, man, you can lose so much ground just because of, the stage hazards and the way things go. Specifically in Drillman specifically, just because, in that last section, you got these telly suction cups that want to come down and bop you on the head. You got the rocks coming down that can bop you in the head. So if you don't conserve your Bright Star for going into this section, it really is kind of tough. The only alternate strat you got there is you don't want to waste them, but you could use dive missiles because, they could lock on to the, projectiles incoming because they're both targetable as enemies. So, yeah. Let's see what Becco gets out of Dive Man number 2.
That's right.
Unfortunately,
kind of mixed results so far, yeah.
Primal having to be careful here in the last section coming up on Dive Man's door. He cannot take a hit if he wants to get to the checkpoint without having to go back and fight the whales. But he does get it done with some nice slides.
Gets his pixel, and it's on to the final Robot Master of Mega Man 4 for Becco, Toadman. Oh, and Primal only has 1 health left. He cannot make any mistakes here, and he does not. Dive Man going down.
He definitely makes up for his mistake in Ringman stage, taking home 1 grain of rice and a big middle finger to Dive Man.
A grain of rice, huh? I heard you say that earlier, and I didn't get a chance to laugh at it. That's pretty good. Yeah, so it teleports out. Doesn't get that animation skip, but no big deal there. And, it's, again, we see just a little bit more room for Becco opening up as Primal starts Drillman stage now. And we're going to see Becco sliding through. This rain and wind pushing you back can be a little scary through this first screen. Stopping the action obviously helps a lot, but those slides over some of those platforms and pits can be a little dangerous, but no problem for Becco, of course. I see Primal again. He's, Primal, he says, this flash stopper is for chumps. I'm just going to go Buster only through all this stuff. Who cares? And see, and it's funny too because one has to wonder if he was using his flash stopper, how his time might be a little bit different throughout this part. But he's doing what he can for sure, and he's making really quick work of it. Despite there he goes. Now he switches to his flash stopper, and he is gonna have a little bit of extra energy to work with just in case as he goes through this latter half.
Definitely can't blame him for conserving. Unfortunately, he got an unfortunate timing on that Bright Stopper there, but he takes advantage of some invisibility frames to make some short work of it. Another thing I want to point out, because you did ask me earlier about, learning more stuff. I did not know, number one, you could slide and make a jump in Mega Man 4 to get through Toadman's first section.
Oh, yes.
More importantly, I didn't know you could take the Bright Stopper and skip the snails.
Oh,
I hate those things.
Yeah, it's a great little trick to have. You got to be a little bit leery of that second one. You have to make sure you don't get sucked down into that pit. But as long as you can avoid that, yeah, it's a nice time saving for sure. As we are on to Mega Man 5 for Becco, world record holder in the house. And we're gonna see what happens here. It's sort of like really putting a I don't know what I want to say. It's
script.
Well, no, that's not. No, I was going to go in the other direction. It's like there's kind of nowhere to go but down and away for Becco because he's the world record holder. Like, what's he going to do? Say break the world record here for the 8 Robos? Probably not. You got to figure just like the odds of that are pretty low. So, I mean, he's got an advantage over Primal, but also he's got his own standards up to which he'd like to live. So. It's funny how success in a game can kind of be a double-edged sword in a way, but it's obviously going to serve him to great benefit here, just by being excellent at this game. As Primal puts down Drillman, and he's on to his final Robot Master of Mega Man 4. Apologies if anything slows down. My Flux IO just kicked into daytime mode, so we're got a little bit warm or softer color, whatever color, it doesn't matter. Anyway, Toadman for Primal, and Becco Red making his way through Starman. Probably one of the tougher starting stages in 46 Robot Masters. A lot of activity throughout the stage, spikes everywhere, low gravity. There's a lot that can go wrong in this stage, but not for Becco, who makes it through expertly. and he is onto the Spider-Man fight. You can shoot your Buster through his shield, which I mean, that's another one that, I mean, even I didn't know until like during this tournament. So it's funny, you know, what you can pick up from watching these speedruns, but no problem for Becco putting down Starman. Oh no! Primal missing a jump on Toadman stage, and he's before the checkpoint. He's gonna have to go back to the start of the stage.
Pocket.
You hate to see that. It's
Oh yeah.
you know, having been there myself so many times, your heart just goes out whenever you see a mistake like that, because you know the level on which these two are operating. So to see a mistake like that, it's just like a slip of the thumb. You know, maybe resting a little bit low. You know, not quite getting the jump you want, but yeah, you know that they're. You know, that was not just like, oh, you know, they're in practice. No, they're pretty darn good at these games, for sure. Understatement of the century right there, as we move on to Gravity Man for Becco.
Missing his first super arrow there, not getting much love on that one.
Well, actually, yeah, I mean, you know, he didn't get maybe the full ride there. Actually, didn't quite see that one, but yeah,
the tip and fell.
The super arrow is such an interesting tool in this game. Maybe second only to magnet beam in effectiveness throughout these Mega Man games. You save so much time traversing the stages with it, and you can kill enemies very quickly with it as well. It's a very powerful tool in that regard, but you primarily see it as a traversal tool. And boy, Becco just flying through this screen right now, getting up and over, switching to Star Crash. And onto the boss. Wow, there's scarcely enough time to say anything about the job Becco is doing through this stage. My goodness. And Primal gets his revenge on Toadman, puts him down quickly, and it's on to Mega Man 5 now. And even though Becco is the world record holder at 5, Primal, an excellent Mega Man 5 player himself. So we'll see what happens here.
So as you can see, Becco gets Gravity Man down, and going back to a quick subject real fast, and you know, in lieu of people that get so good at something that it starts to frustrate them, for the Super Metroid speedrunning community, you got Zosti and Oats and Goats who are constantly in a back and forth war by 1 second with each other, trying to hold records. That's just I've watched both of them, and I've seen both of them get very, very frustrated when that 1 second they needed to, like, yay, new record, goes.
That's speedrunning in a nutshell. Never being satisfied with the time you get. Like, oh, cool, I PB'd. That's not the PB I wanted. This is garbage.
Hey, PB. I'm still 20 minutes off the world record.
Right, well, there's that, too.
So as you can see here, Becco is really showing off what the super arrow is really capable of, using it here in, oh god, I'm about to butcher this.
Gyro Man stage.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The less I pronounce his name, the better.
That's okay. Yeah, he's not a lamb-filled pita, so we pronounce it gyro instead of gyro. I think. I don't think he just shoots blades. Gyro Man is a weird name for him. There doesn't seem to be anything particularly gyroscopic about him, but what do I know?
Exactly. We know as much as we know, and that's all we know, and that's all we need to know.
Starman going down for Primal. And now it's on to the auto-scrolling section for Becco, just sitting and waiting. Everybody's favorite part of a speedrun.
Mm-hmm. And I have to agree with the chat. Now I'm hungry.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, we ruined it. Sorry, guys.
Hey, it's bound to happen once a run. We have to bring it up. Oh, well.
That's true. It's unavoidable.
Just like a certain room we'll be talking about when it comes time for 6. Oof, that room.
And there we see Gravity Hold making quick work of Gyro Man. You can actually go too fast and miss out on hits. You only have just enough of the energy there to defeat Gyro Man. But Becco knows how to time that perfectly, does so, and now it's on to Crystal Man. So, we would just remind folks that now would be a good time if you wanted to get up and stretch, you know, have a bathroom break, go get yourself a drink, make a sandwich, get a gyro. I'm sorry, a gyro. Then, you know, now is the time because you got a cool 43 seconds coming back to you here real quick while we wait for this crystal work to happen.
Yeah, just don't blink. You might miss it happen, though.
Yeah, this is a really cool trick that really Baron Haynes made viable for RTA purposes, where you set up these super arrows in such a way where Mega Man is at the right pixel, takes damage, dies on the same frame as this cup and ball guy spawns, and that writes some very interesting things into memory and essentially confuses the game into placing Mega Man way further down in the stage into the boss corridor, but it takes about 43 seconds to do that. So we're just going to see this guy meander back and forth for a little while as Primal puts down Gravity Man. He's going to make his way over to Gyro Man, and we're going to be without music for just a little bit here as we bring you continuing coverage of the Mega Man 46 Robot Masters Tournament right here on the Speed Gaming channel. I am Enemy alongside Sacred Hooves, and there we go. We are back into the boss corridor, switches over to Gyro, and now it's the fight with Crystal Man.
Just to put this in perspective so people have an understanding of how much this really saves, the whole entire stage itself, if you do it perfectly without taking any damage, it's about 3 to 3.5 minutes. Doing that skip pretty much eliminates 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, over a really fast stage execution, it can save between like 9 and 16, I want to say, seconds. But a lot of the runners in this tournament aren't primarily Mega Man 5 players, so they're saving, like you say, like a minute and a half. So it's, I mean, what a huge benefit. And, you know, as we see in chat, yeah, shout outs to Baron. Kind of made that viable pretty soon before the start of the tournament, and everyone figured that one out real quick, like added that to their repertoire, because Crystal Man stage can be pretty darn scary. But removing that and saving time, I mean, who's not going to sign up for that? Well, I guess Toad's the one holdout who's decided, I'm not going to do this crystal skip. But so we'll see that in a little while as he faces Avalon Star coming up in the next few days. But right now, Becco making his way past that scary crusher section. If those touch you, you die instantly, but no problem for him. Slides and jumps onto the arrow, and you see him running off the edge of that arrow. Doing that saves a little bit of energy on the super arrow, and now he has just enough to place 2 super arrows here, go up and over these big guys here. Oh, he actually hits the top of his head! No problem, though. He just takes a D-boost and is on his way through the next stage, or the next screen, excuse me. As Primal getting ready to shock and awe Gyro Man. And we got the gravity hold out for Becco as well. Making quick work of these cup and ball enemies. 2 different cup and ball enemies here in Mega Man 5. I don't know what that says about the game design, but
Withholding comment. But I will say this much, I did not know you could use Gravity Hold to uplift the missiles in Napalm Man stage. So again, more things I've learned just by sitting here and watching this.
Yeah, Mega Man 5 is a super fun game that, the higher the number gets on the NES, typically the lower the number of players, but I feel like there's really something genuinely to enjoy across all 6 of these games, to the point where I always say, and I'm not the only one who says this, but I always, like, people will inevitably ask in a tournament like this, oh, what's your favorite Mega Man game? And I always say, like, not to be diplomatic about it, I just really feel this way. Like, whichever one you like the most is the correct answer. I don't think there's a wrong answer about 1 through 6, which you like the most. There's something great about all these games. As we see Primal getting his Crystal Warp going, so we'll see him in about 43 seconds. But yeah, and we're on the Stone Man stage for Becco. Amazing music. So we're going to see some Aerotech here as well. But it's so cool, I think, to see the variances and the evolution from Mega Man 1 through Mega Man 6 displayed in a 2-hour time period, and give viewers and players a little taste of all of these games. You know, we're obviously avoiding the castle stages and all of the extra stuff that comes after the Robot Masters throughout this tournament by its very nature. So you're just getting the taste of, here are the Robot Masters, here are their powers, what sort of trouble can you get into with all of that stuff? Go. And it's been great to see that cross-pollination of folks coming from one game, moving on to these others that they were previously not as familiar with. That's been a tremendous treat to watch. Crystal Man going down for Primal. He'll be jumping into Napalm Man stage soon. Becco's already defeated Napalm Man stage. Don't let the restream fool you there, kids.
Mm-hmm.
Now we see that Rush Jet coming into play here, being put to great use by Becco, skipping some of those rotating platforms. That back damage boost for Becco, making his way past these Mets that spawn little baby Mets, which are adorable, but a pain in the butt.
Oh, yeah. First time playing Mega Man 5, I'm like, oh, hey, Metatool, I'm used to you.
Right?
What are these? Definitely, though, without a doubt, the two scariest sections in the game, 4 5, are the last two bosses that we'll be seeing, Charge Man and Wave Man. Just Charge Man stage is just full of stuff that can add damage up so fast that it's literally like being just tanked all over the place. And then Wave Man stage is just a combination of things that were definitely not good, and someone came into work on acid that day.
It's always funny to, try to get inside the heads of the developers with some of the design choices they make. I mean, like an auto-scroller on top of an auto-scroller in Wave Man stage. But here, the silver lining, amazing music in Wave Man stage.
Yeah, that's the benefit, but it still feels like, someone came to work on drugs.
Listen, this was the 5th one, okay? Ideas run thin after 5 of these games. So, what if we make an auto-scroller inside of an auto-scroller? Because I heard you liked auto-scrollers with your auto-scrollers.
We've made a boss in Mega Man 10 out of a baseball.
Well, yeah,
I think ideas were very thin by then.
Yeah, Strike Man is a weird one for me, too. Strike Man and Sheep Man.
I like Sheep Man.
I'm not saying I don't like him. I'm saying it's an intriguing choice. Let's say. I don't think we had a dedication for that chicken room from Becco, so we're going to dedicate it to all of the fine viewers joining us for this early morning race between two excellent Mega Man players, getting the arrow over the second screen, the second top train screen from Becco.
Wow, no damage too.
Yeah, that's. I mean, you'd expect no less from Becco, but it's still really impressive to see. Look at this, Becco not even bothering with the pause buffering. Ah, there's a pause buffer for him. My goodness, Charged Man. He's gone. That's blinked and you missed him. What a terrible boss fight, by the way. I mean, it's not so much that the boss fight's terrible, but using Power Stone is really garbage. And this is the point in the race where there's always a conversation about, is Power Stone the worst weapon in Mega Man? And people will cite Spark Shock. Spark Shock's pretty useless, and of course Hyper Bomb. But hey, Hyper Bomb, at least you can do a nice refight skip in Mega Man 1, so it had that going for it, which is nice. But yeah, Power Stone is a slow, terrible weapon for sure. We see Primal getting on the super arrow there, going over the mouse stage, or mouse screen, excuse me, and making his way up through Stone Man. Becco onto our favorite auto-scroller section of our stage of Wave Man here, using that charge kick to get through these steam vents. And we will see what he does with the super arrow here. And I'm just going to shut up and let it happen.
Yeah, I'm just going to say this much. As far as worst weapons in the game go, Power Stone wins by far, because you said Hyper Bomb has its usabilities. And when it comes to, what was the other weapon you mentioned?
The Spark Shock. The reason that the Spark Shock is not good is because, A, you can't control it in the way that you control Shadow Blade, and B, Shadow Blade is the weapon that damages, or is a weapon that damages Magnet Man the same amount as Spark Shot. So why would you use Spark Shock over Shadow Blade in that fight? The answer is because you think you have to, but you don't.
The only real use they have is the monkeys for, you know, Magnet Man stage, says you can stun them with it, so there at least it has a purpose. So, like, you know, but if we had to put up a list, personally for top 3, you know, Power Stone's number 1, Spark Shock's number 2, and
Hyper Bomb.
Definitely Top Spin is number 3.
Oh, see, no, here's the thing with Top Spin. Top Spin can actually be pretty darn useful.
It can be.
I mean, it's got obviously viability against Shadow Man and going through the stage as well. But before we continue, I just want to shout-outs to Becco making that arrow climb as you'd expect through the bubble stage, getting the boat skip, of course, naturally. He's going to close out Mega Man 5 real strong, as you'd expect from the world record holder. No problem there. He's going into Mega Man 6 with a very strong lead right now, about 2 stages ahead, and we're going to see what happens. But you know, Becco doing Becco things right now. As far as the weapons go, yeah, Top Spin. I mean, you killed Wily's final form with Top Spin, and you can one hit KO a couple. Yeah, okay. Sorry, everyone. Dr. Wily's in Mega Man 3, and you can kill him. Do we have a chicken room dedication from Primal? Let's see what we got here.
Yeah, it's for you.
Oh, what? How
Primal dedicates to you for organizing this tournament.
Oh my goodness! Thank you so much, Primal.
Thank you for this one. Because this has been. Oh yeah.
I'm flattered. I'm just happy that I had an excuse to play all of these games. Really. Like, yeah, I'll make a tournament. That'll show them. Then I get to play all these games, right? And then people signed up for it against all odds. So I'm exceedingly happy with this tournament, and I appreciate everyone's support, whether as a runner or as a viewer. Thank you all so much, and I'm really looking forward to the rest of the brackets playing out. So many great matches coming up. It's like if you're a fan of classic Mega Man speedrunning, the next couple of weeks are going to be all go. Speaking of all go, Becored has all gone on to Mega Man 6. He's on Windman stage and making his way through the very damage-heavy screen. Only taking 1 hit, it looked like, so good job.
I can definitely say for myself, just being able to watch this, help restream and commentate, you know, this has been an absolute thrill and blast. Like, all these wonderful tournaments that we do are a thrill and blast, and I'm glad I finally see someone that's willing to run my favorite NES classic game series. I love Mega Man so much.
That makes me so happy when people like Mega Man. Well, a lot of people like Mega Man, but I've encountered over the past several months some people who really don't like Mega Man. And that always makes me sad. I wonder why they can't just have joy in their life. I'm joking, of course, but yeah, I'm always a little sad when people don't like Mega Man. Not because they have a difference of opinion, but because this game brings me and so many others so much joy. It's like, oh man, I wish you could experience that. I wish you could have that out of this as well. But you know, everyone has their own view on things, so it's not always to be. Oh, Primal not quite getting that jump over the little spike ball there. Can be tricky there. You have a very limited window to get that. As we see Becco trying to make quick work of Windman here, does so. And he is on his way. See, Primal now, he's going to go for the boat skip. 2 arrows set up here. Oh, he does not quite get it. He looked like he was going to jump over the boat, but gets sucked back into it. It's on to Flame Man now for Becco, and you know, this is an interesting stage. I mean, this is where you really start to see that movement tech come into play. Of course, Mega Man 6, you can't jump out of slides in this one, so it's all about the slide canceling to get your jumps going in this one. And you know, we see right out of the gate a lot of platforms, a lot of not so long platforms, so you have to get that slide cancel going pretty early, and we're going to see that throughout, and trying to avoid the lamp lighting here. As we say hello to Roland. Goodbye, Roland. And He's going to have these two enemies coming up there. He gets rid of both of them. Does not have to worry about the oil being lit here. He's going to make his way down, down, down to the checkpoint. His Primal is looking to get through this auto-scrolling section and onto Mega Man 6 himself. Still just about 2 stages behind for Primal, so time is running out for him for sure, but you know,
playing 6, anything can happen.
Yeah, I mean, definitely in Mega Man 6, the hard parts are yet to come between plant forms and, to a much lesser extent, going for the Spike Skip and Night Crusher stage. Oh my goodness! And just like that, from your mouth to God's ears, Becco does not quite get that jump, and the fire gets him. And now those oil sections are going to remain lit for Becco, so he's going to have to navigate that a little bit more carefully. But my goodness, you know, anything can happen, and it just did.
Again, this is where runs go to die sometimes. I don't want to say it now, but unfortunately we have to say it. It is in the last legs. 6 is where runs are either made or completely obliterated in thin air. As you can see there, you know, Becco took that down into the fire pit. You know, Flame Man's one of the first stages where chaos ensues. We'll talk about the next one coming up because I love talking about it when we get to the worst room in Mega Man's history.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. That's not a bad room. That's a great room.
Well, it's a great room if you know what you're doing. It's bad for someone else that falls victim.
Well, hey, I have good news. These two know what they're doing. It's fun. It's funny too because you've seen a lot of races where there's been a disparate level of talent between the two runners. Now, like, we're at a pretty close level between these two. So, and between everyone really at this point. I mean, you don't get out of pool play without being at a certain level of competence in these games. So, some of those really tough spots that we've seen aren't quite so tough anymore. Which isn't to say that mistakes can't still be made, but, you know, not quite on that same level as you might have seen in the pool play portion of the tournament. And now
get for what you wish for.
Oh, Blizzard Man stage. I love Blizzard Man so much. Blizzard Man is my favorite robot master. He's a giant round ball of a robot with skis and poles.
It's Frosted Snowman on a slope going
Amazing.
down.
Well, he's way better than Frosty the Snowman. Not yelling about happy birthday all the time. There we go, switching to Flame Blast here. Getting a double kill there. This is such a fun room right here that Becco is on. You use the sliding physics to your great advantage to get through there, get underneath enemies, move really quickly. It feels very satisfying. And there we see him sliding over the ice there. That can be very dangerous for runners who don't know how to slide cancel. You can very easily slide off that ice there and go down, down, down into the pits below. But now here's what I assume is your room of doom. The submarine here. Going through a moving submarine, avoiding spikes on the upper and lower portion of the screen. No problem for Becco, as Primal teleports out a Windman. And he is just trying all he can to just not lose any time, make up whatever ground he can, and come back in this one. But with each passing stage, he's running out of time as Becco gets into Blizzard Man.
Yeah, that's not the worst room in the game. That's just this is why I make Blizzard Man known as the most technical stage, because that one section and the fact that you have the ice physics that you have to try to manipulate to your advantage. Blizzard Man's more of a technical stage. It's Becco's next stage that holds a special place in many gamers' hearts, especially those who are young enough and first played, you know, Mega Man 6 for the first time and getting involved with Plant Man. Yeah. Pretty nice finishing for Becco there. You know, Blizzard Man did get rolling a couple times, but had enough in the tank to get it done.
Yeah, with the benefit of their weaknesses, the Robot Masters in Mega Man 6 are pretty darn easy. So once in Windman with Buster is no great shakes himself, just takes a little bit longer. But now coming up here, this is where the rubber meets the road, where we got that plant form screen. We'll see how Becco chooses to proceed. But this is where some real time can be lost. It's a very bad death to die on that screen. The checkpoint's a little bit of a ways back, but you also have to beat a mini-boss for a second time. So we'll see how this goes for Becco as Primal getting the D-boost, knocked down into the flame, but slides across with his iframes, making great use of those. No problem for him. Has plenty of health for this Flame Man fight.
Yeah, that was a scary moment, but thankfully he did get the D-boost, so it didn't affect him too bad, and he landed on top of the flames instead of underneath them, where it could have caused him a rather sufferish knockback that he does not need, on top of already being a stage behind.
Primal extinguishing Flame Man, and it's on the Blizzard now. We get to see your favorite screen again.
Oh, no. Becco is now on my favorite screen.
Oh, everybody's favorite screen, if we're being honest.
Point blank, screw this screen.
That's right. Oh, and Becco not worrying about platforms. Probably a very smart strategy at this point. He knows he's got a lead, I think, and just wants to avoid any issues. Got to be careful. In Mega Man 6, there's a property where if you kind of nip the edge of platforms, it'll animate you kind of very briefly landing on it and getting kicked off of it. And nowhere is that more prevalent, perhaps, than on those springs, as you saw Becco make it up and over them, onto them, bounding in the air, and making it into Plant Man's room, where he switches to Blizzard Attack. And he's going to try to glitch, and he gets the glitch, so now Blizzard Man's just going to run back and forth for a bit, give him some opportunity to get some hits in here. His Blizzard Attack's a little low. He only has the one more left to use. There we go. He gets the kill. No problem for Becco. This Primal's making his way through Blizzard Man stage.
Although it's not as strong, alternatively, you do end up running out of Blizzard and you have enough flame shots left in the tank for a flame blast, you can, fire away.
That's right.
But yes, Becco there, literally taking the worst room in the game and turning it into the best room I've ever seen done. Especially in that last part there, he managed to time his buster shot just so perfect that he hit the sniper enemy to avoid getting knocked back, so
yeah.
Very well played.
It's a very scary screen. There's a lot that can go wrong there, but it did not for Becco, and that's where you see that expert play come to the fore. As we make our way over to White Hat's favorite stage, it's Tomahawk Man. Becco's switching to Flame Blast and putting these Coltons down very quickly, see if he gets the one-frame jump, and of course he does. I don't actually know that's a one-frame jump, but it's a limited frame jump anyway. Everything's a one-frame trick. That's when in doubt, just say it's a frame-perfect trick. Who cares?
Hey, nothing wrong with calling something pixel perfect, because who knows, you just might be right.
Sure. Primal now, putting the heat to Blizzard Man, and he gets melted, and we're on to Plant Man for him. And we'll see how he handles the platform screen.
Do you write puns in your spare time or something?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's like one of
we see Becco sliding right underneath the stomper there, and I've watched a lot of these matches now, Sacred Hoofs. I've had a chance to think on it a little bit.
You're doing better than the chat normally does. That's why I bring it up.
Okay. So we see Plant Man getting ready to start for Primal, and Becco now using that last of his flame. Oh, he actually got a little bit of a refill there on the final screen, able to get through to a Tomahawk Man, and he'll be switching over to his Plant Barrier.
Yeah, this is another weapon that once again you're given just enough, so you have to be careful not to overshoot it.
That's right.
Because it wasn't annoying enough with Gravity Hold. Let's do it again.
Same deal with Centaur Man. Of course, you won't see the Centaur Flash in this run because we'll end on Centaur Man. But yeah, you have exactly enough hits to put down Windman.
Lucky there by Becco getting him down. If he took one more body hit from Tomahawk Man, that would have been back outside with no love whatsoever in the tank. Would have had to buster him. So.
Yeah, that's like the one fight, Tomahawk Man, where because you have to be so close to him and basically do almost contact damage to him with the Plant Barrier, it can get a little dicey if you start to take a few hits. but he knew what he was doing. Of course, you know, it's getting a little bit redundant to say that Becco knows what he's doing because he's great, but he executed and got the job done. He's on the Yamato Man stage. Oh, here, Primal teased me. He went for that first one, which is pretty much free, but he switches over to Buster and gets his platforms going. Or excuse me, gets the platforms opened up, choosing not to go with platforms. I just find it interesting when players have enough Flame Blast left over to switch back, but they choose not to. It would be a little bit slower if you're able to hit all of your shots with your Buster, but I just find that shooting with the Buster is a little annoying. I just always switch back to Flame, but that's, you know, that's what you get in a tournament like this. Everyone has their own little backup strats that they use that might not be the preferred method necessarily, but you see some alternate strats throughout the tournament, and it's cool to see those come to the fore. But Primal going with the standard way of doing this, and Becco now going to be flying up and over this last bit, switching over to Silver Tomahawk, and making his way into Impossible Boss, aka Yamato Man. And actually takes a couple hits. No, he's not impossible, but it's so funny to see people struggle with him, including myself. I don't want to throw anyone under the bus. I'm throwing myself under the bus primarily.
I can only think the one boss I've ever died to playing this game, honestly, is Tomahawk Man.
I have died to Yamato Man a couple times. I've given him I think of all of his victories over time, I've given him the most. I have to say, I'm better now though. Don't worry.
I'd hope you are.
That's right. Yeah.
You're gonna make it to the finals. You're gonna win your
own
tournament.
No.
You're hosting it. You can win.
That's we're gonna. Oh, weird. All of my other opponents dropped out. That's crazy how that worked.
Not like that.
Yeah. No, we got a murderer's row coming up in the knockout rounds. So I got my play-in match coming up, but we'll see how that goes. But Becco now, he's going to be setting up for this spike jump here. Tight timing here. It's not the hardest thing in the world. It kind of looks more scary than it actually is, but you got to be on point or not on point, as it were. You don't want to hit those needles, and he jumps over the needle pit. He slides underneath the needles as they're falling down from the ceiling. No problem there. Switches over to Yamato Blade. He's going to cut through the shield of this turret. Gets his Mega Man 5 reference for good measure. And he is up and away to the rest of the Nightman stage. Primal, meanwhile, getting rid of the Met Dispenser. He's going through White Hat's favorite stage. On to Tomahawk Man. And so far, I think so good for these two in Mega Man 6. Had that little bit of a hiccup for Becco in Flame Man stage, but besides that, no great issues. No one got any trouble with Plant Man, which you like to see. Master of the Mace Ball. That's right. I always thought he was the Master of Karate. That's what Concakes told me, but I don't know anything about that. Yeah, Becco, up past that, he says, hey, listen, I don't need that extra life. I'm good, man.
Thanks, reference. We don't need you.
That's right. And I still, to this day, whenever I see runners bypass the E-Tanks or the extra lives, I'm like, you know that they're real good. Like, it's to that's sacrosanct if you're casual. I mean, God forbid you bypass a one-up. It was always funny when like a one-up or an E-Tank, or not an E-Tank so much, but a one-up would drop on spikes in a Mega Man game. Like, no, I want to get that life. And now it's like, oh, whatever. It's right in my way. I'll jump over it. Who cares?
I've so casually not paid attention after that. Pick something up from menu, like, I don't even know what he gave me. I open the menu. Oh, it was an E-Tank. Hey, perfect. I'm on Centaur Man. I'm getting my ass kicked.
Becco putting down Nightman, and he is on to his final Robot Master. Just Centaur Man stands in the way between Becco Red and victory. And Primal now trying his best to just get through these last three stages as quickly as possible. You just want to make that slide go a little bit faster, make these shots a little bit more powerful. Just whatever you can do to try to claw your way back into this. But I think, you know, it's tough, to play at such a high level as Primal did, but then come up against a Buzzsaw and becored. You can only do what you can do, and then the better man will come out on top. And becored right now, proving himself the better man. An excellent run out of him. I mean, we're gonna be seeing like a 146 or something like that in this run. And I mean, from a runner who had previously only run Mega Man 4 and 5, granted at the highest of levels, but coming into this tournament without that great familiarity in 1 through 3 and 6, and now to see the level on which he's operating. I mean, it's Becco. His reputation precedes him, and he's living up to it. Primal, no problem with Yamano Man. I take a hit or two there, but no big deal.
I always loved Yamano Man's stage the most. Second favorite was Centaur Man's, just because of the music.
Really, the music is what you like in Centaur Man's stage? Because I find the music to be like the one disappointing song in Mega Man 6.
Really?
Not that it's bad, it's just like by comparison to the rest of the songs, I feel it's not quite on that same level.
I feel more disappointed by Flame Man's stage just being...
Really?
It just seems so toned, like so much slower, like in the tone for it.
Oh, really? That's funny because I know a lot of people who think that's one of the very best songs in the series. See, and this is where people of discerning taste can differ on these things. A 1:45.28 unofficially, an official race bot time of 1:45.30 for Becco, the winner of this race, advancing on in the tournament.
Dang. Sub 150.
Sub 150, sub 146, which was my prediction, and my goodness. I mean, what can you say? Becored, guys. One of the great runners of all time right there, and he is advancing on. And we're way too early to see who he's going to face yet, but we'll show the brackets here in just a moment after Primal wraps this up. We'll switch over to Primal's audio real quick. Oh, he might not have... Oh, it's just low. There we go. Fooled me there for a second. I thought he had no game audio, but it was just turned down low. Crank it up, no problem.
Yeah, wow. Like, across all of his runs here for Becored, he's always managed to save anywhere between 20 seconds to, as you can see, for almost his highest point, especially when it came to Centaur Man, 1 minute and 50 seconds almost.
I mean, when someone drops a 145 in on you, all you can do is tip your cap. It's not like Primal made any huge mistakes. He's had himself an excellent run. He still has a chance, I believe, for a sub 150 himself, which, if I'm not mistaken, would be... Oh, well, I don't know that's quite a PB. But I think it's definitely a tournament PB for him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you come out and you put together your strongest performance of a tournament, and you still get beat, and there's nothing... You just tip your cap to the other guy. That's all you can do.
If you can manage to get through, this cutscene and get through, going through everything else in about, say, 3 minutes, yeah, he could have a race PB, because we can see Centaur Man finishes at 1 hour and 50. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully, some, sub 150 and some change.
I mean, this race has really just lived up to all expectations. 2 of the very best operating at a super, super high level. This is the sort of match you want to get up early for. So I'm glad that we were able to do it this morning. But here we go, on to the final stage. Centaur Man, Centaur Man, Centaur Man. And making his way through the water is Primal. And we're going to see how he closes this one out. Becco's showing off a little bit of the Rockman 5 mod, where you only have Power Stone. As you see, there's no energy bar there. I assume this mod is called Nightmare Mode, because this would be my nightmare, to play with only Power Stone. Primal now making his way through the water ceiling stage. A very interesting mechanic. The water is actually the blue part above the stage, so you get the benefit of water mechanics, or water physics, excuse me, as the ceiling lowers. So I always find that to be a little strange part of the game, but no problem there for Primal. Makes it over the spikes without issue.
Well, again, you know, it's Centaur Man. He's got to make it as difficult as possible, so why not?
Yeah, what an odd stage. You got Centaur Man, a creature not exactly associated with water historically, and he's got this underwater stage. You got these submarines flying in the air. You got the water in the ceiling. Oh, you got Primal! No! Primal! Falling down. It looked like he might be able to save it, but gets hit on the way down by the flying submarine that we had just mentioned, and has to go back to the previous checkpoint.
He was close.
Oh no! Okay,
no
he's waiting
cigar.
for the. I was concerned there that he was going to tap out, but no, he was just waiting for the water to come back for him.
Yeah, definitely close, but no cigar. Definitely took, unfortunately, too much damage in that one part there. You know, suffering the knockback and got forced to go in the hole.
You had that moment of hope where he didn't immediately die. The screen transition. You thought maybe he could save this. Maybe everything's going to work out okay. But that enemy spawned right on top of him, and it just was not to be. But he's back to where he died, and he's making his way up the ladder. He should be good to go now. We crest the 1 hour and 50 minute mark. A sub 151 is looking plausible here. We'll see how this goes. Reboot TV points out in chat, maybe it's a seahorse centaur. That's the best explanation I've seen so far, to be honest. And an official time on the race spot of 1 hour, 50 minutes, and 47 seconds. Primal taking second place in this one. Unfortunately, you hate to see it. After such an excellent run like that, we have to say goodbye to Primal in this tournament. But an excellent tournament all over for Primal. But congrats to Becco, who lived up to the billing. His reputation preceded him, and he lived up to it. An excellent job there to win this one. 1 hour, 45 minutes, and 28 seconds. Your winner is becored, advancing on. And let's bring up the brackets here real quick before we get out of here. I just want to remind folks, you want to tune in at 1 p.m. right here on Speed Gaming Channel. We are going to have the matchup between Dark Teryx and Mazimoth this afternoon. So you're definitely going to want to watch that one. That's the play-in round. But let's bring up the brackets real quick, show you where we're at right now. If we can, if I can figure out where my scene is here. There we are. All right. So becored beating Primal there, advancing on. Who he faces is very much yet to be determined. There's a play-in match to face Baron Haynes. In all likelihood, Baron, and if I win in certainty, Baron will be moving on to face becored in that quarterfinal round match. As we'll get some more music going here real quick. Oh, you guys can see that. Oops. You can see that too. There we go. No, that's the wrong one. Go to the. I literally went to every other tab than the one I wanted to. So here's the bracket back again. But yeah, so you can see Concake's already defeating Hypa, moving on to face Prissy in the second round. Toad and Avalon Star still have their match coming up. That'll take place in the mid of next week for the right to move on to face Fast at CC. And again, 1 p.m. today, right here on twitch.tv/speedgaming, Dark Teryx taking on Mazimoth. That is going to be a hell of a match to see who goes on to face world record holder Nero X2. You're going to want to see that one. So tune back in later today. But until then, I think we're all good here. Sacred Host, I want to thank you so much for joining me early morning, getting up and getting yourself some tea and getting ready to go. And I think we're good to go. Anything else you wanted to say before we wrap this one up?
You guys better come back at 1 p.m. We'll be disappointed if you don't.
Did Fast get it? I just checked Fast might have not have submitted it by the time I checked. I checked like a day ago, so I apologize, Fast. Fast, it's nothing but love, man. Fast took world record tonight. There you go. See, I'm sorry, guys. I was asleep. Oh my goodness. I tried to get some sleep before this. I only got a couple hours. I apologize.
Same.
Congrats, Fast, for World Record. Nero, that's one of the things. We've seen so much activity, and at that top end, Fast has had a world record, Prissy's had a world record, Nero has world record throughout this tournament. They've all bounced back and forth. So it's really cool to see them driving that time lower and lower down. Will we see a 141 before all is said and done? Will we see a 140 before all is said and done? I don't know. Gonna have to keep tuning in and watching. But our next race coming up 1 p.m. Eastern Time today. Dark Territories Mazimov. Tune in for that one. Keep it here. For now, we're going to get out of here. Thank you guys so much for joining us for this early morning race. Thank you again to Sacred Host for joining me for commentary. We will see you all next time.
Pleasure to be here. Glad you have helped. Don't forget to come back to us here on twitch.tv at /speedrunslive and Speed Gaming for all the latest and greatest speedruns and tournaments. God bless.